I
Percentage-wise
guess
po,
the
yeah.
expectation was that it would decrease more, considering that we have had loosened restrictions and there was more business and mobility going on in the last couple of months. What do you think accounted for this further rise, no matter how minimal?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Now, what we are seeing in these numbers is that although our population 15 years old and over went up by 400,000, and the persons in the labor force. So when we say persons in the labor force, these are those who are employed and these are those who are unemployed persons. So the persons in the labor force compared to the October round, it went up by 1.6 million. But then also, there was also an increase in the number of persons not in the labor force, those who did not choose to be in the labor force. And we saw in our data that the reason why they were not in the labor force is because of schooling. And these are more of the ages 15 to 18 years old, which is just right. And then also many of the household family members opted to be not in the labor force because of household family duties. And of course, the third reason why they were not in the labor force is that due to the ECQ lockdown, we have granular lockdowns, and also we call it the COVID-19 pandemic. So those are the reasons. That's why maybe we have remained at the 8.7% unemployment rate in October of 2020, but 3 months ago.
Yeah, ma'am, sundutin ko lang yun, because that's our part of our traditional definition, di ba? Parang if you choose not to be in the labor force, then hindi ka talaga counted. But then iba yung konteksto sa COVID, di ba? I mean, because before people would say, hindi muna mag-labor force kasi pahinga muna ako, or sabihin ka ng pamilya for whatever reason. But now, the context is very different because some people will say, hindi ako papasok because takot ako sa baka magkasakit and so on. In which case, it's a totally different perspective, hindi po ba? So, are we also saying that we're underestimating if we just look at the numbers?
I think you are correct in saying that the situation now is very much different, because when we went to the field for the survey in April at the height of the lockdown, the top reason for the people not in the labor force is because of the COVID-19 and the community quarantines. But now, the number one reason that were given to us is schooling, and they choose to have to be in the house for some household or family duties. So it has changed actually from the time that we had the strict community quarantines, and now that we have relaxed somehow the economy.
Okay, let me be clear about that. So you're saying that that these people opted to go to school instead of continue whatever work they had before, or opted to stay at home instead of continue with the work before? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is correct. As far as the data that we have gathered, especially when we compare this to the pre-lockdown, that is on the same period of January 2020, we saw that Filipinos 15 years old to 19 years old, I'm looking at data, their primary reason is, and the top reason actually, is schooling. So these are the ages when the Filipinos are in the school. But for those who are who choose to stay at home or not to be in the labor force, the ages actually were the highest is 25 years old and over.
Okay, that seems to be counterintuitive in a time of pandemic when there were so many lockdowns. I imagine that people were looking for jobs and that if there was an opportunity to return to the workplace that they were employed in because of the loosening restrictions, that they would choose to return to the job in order to, well, earn a living. No? So you're saying that instead they chose to go to school or to stay at home? Di ba parang counterintuitive yun?
Oh, as I have mentioned earlier, no, they have gone back to work for those who are in the labor force. As I mentioned, it was 17.6% unemployed in April. It went down to 10% only in July, and then 8.7% in October, which also remained this January round at 8.7%. They went back, but because as you see, our population is not static. We have an increasing population, and the persons in the labor force, when we say persons in the labor force, these are individuals 15 years old and over who are employed and those who are unemployed.
Yes,
So
that's
it
the
also
universe.
went up by 1.6 million from October to January. And that's why we saw in our unemployed persons, there was only a bigger increase of 100,000 compared to the 1.6 million persons in the labor force. That's why our employment rate from from April 2020 is what it was 82.4%, the lowest. And then it went up to 90% employment rate in July. Again, it went up to 91.3% in January,
And it
in October of
remains there.
2020, and it remains there. So
I see.
they have been going back to work actually
Yeah.
because we have eased the restrictions.